show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's July 20th, 2021. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always on Good Morning CaneSport by our managing editor, Matt Shodell. And we're talking about the news of the day. And Matt, before we get to the stories that are on the website this morning, I did want to mention something that I got quite a kick out of yesterday on Twitter. That was Matt Baker of the Tampa Bay Times. He was at SEC Media Day, and he asked Dan Mullen about American Top Team's deal with Miami players to pay each player $500 a month, and what he thought about that. And Mullen's response was, "Is that legal?" Immediately suspecting that there could be some NCAA issues involved with that. But we can safely say this morning that yes, Dan, it is legal. No need to be rattled or anything. Dan Lambert from American Top Team has done this entirely by the book. He even has hired a agency to oversee the execution of the deal and make sure that all of the players are fulfilling their obligations under the contracts. So if they're supposed to do 5 social media posts, there's somebody making sure that they do all 5 or they're not getting paid. So yes, not only is it legal, but this will probably be the prototype for NIL deals for many years into the future all over the country. In fact, I'm going to let a little cat out of the bag here and predict that there will be more deals, maybe not of the same size and scope of Dan Lambert's deal, but I think that we're going to see here in the coming weeks and months more deals like what American Top Team is doing for Miami players. I am seeing a groundswell of support out there amongst the booster community, amongst the fan community, amongst the business community to support the players and do good things for the kids. And it's only a win-win for everybody. And CaneSport can't wait to jump into the game, and we hope to do so shortly. All right, with all that said, let's get to the news of the day, Matt. And let's start out, I guess, with the analysis that's on the website this morning of the offensive board in recruiting. And, we've talked about this so many times. It's such an interesting recruiting year because Miami's really not looking to sign, at least it doesn't seem like they are, a whole enormous number of kids in this class because they have got to get back to the 85 limit at some point. The NCAA has not issued clear guidance on that, but it's obvious to us that Manny Diaz is preparing for that by tightening up this year's recruiting class, and never is that more evident than on the offensive side of the ball, where on the board right now, at least the board that we keep, there are 3 wide receivers, there's 1 tight end, there's 7 offensive linemen, and that's it, guys. That is it, because Ja'Cory Brown's already committed as a quarterback, and they're not taking a running back this year. So offensive recruiting, it's almost like, Matt, like the offensive coaching staff gets like a vacation this year almost.
I don't know if I'd say vacation. But yeah, if you look at the numbers we're projecting, they could have as few as 7 offensive signees. When's the last time you remember that? But, I've said this for a while now, like the program that signs the fewest really good kids this year will be best positioned for the future because with everyone getting an extra year of eligibility, and in particular Miami, they're going to have, I think it was 50-something, essentially underclassmen next year, meaning freshmen, redshirt freshmen, sophomores, redshirt sophomores. You don't need a class of 20 or 25 kids. As a matter of fact, it might even be a waste to bring in that many kids. You just don't need 70, underclassmen on your roster. It's unnecessary, creates almost too much competition to the point that there's just guys that are going to wind up leaving and you've wasted those spots. So if you save even 10 scholarships from this class and scatter them 3 each over the next 3 years, plus 1 for a transfer, however you want to use them. It could be for transfers also. You're going to have an edge in recruiting over the next several years over other teams that can only take 25 kids or even less, depending if they've oversigned, Well, you know how that goes with transfers counting against the totals and et cetera, et cetera. And if the roster limit's too high, they can't sign above that anyway. And the roster limit will be very high for Miami. So if they take a big class this year, they're not going to take a big class over the next several years because the roster is going to be enormous. They won't have extra numbers. If they keep this class down, they could basically sign whoever they want transfer-wise and recruit-wise up until their limit of 85 over the next probably 4 or 5 years. This is the class to do it because you don't need the big number. And I like what they're doing right now. They're only going after Plan A guys from what I see for the most part. They haven't really gone hard after what I call Plan B and Plan C guys. And to me, if they whiff on some of these Plan A guys, I hope they don't go after Plan B and Plan C project guys. They don't need to. They don't need to. So it's going to be interesting to see if like for instance at tight end, sorry, we said it's sort of Jaleel Skinner or bust, and I hope it is Jaleel Skinner or bust. I mean, tight end position is not in great shape depth-wise, but you have some young guys who can probably get the job done. And if you don't get Jaleel Skinner, like who else is out there right now that's a difference maker, in their first couple of years at maybe nobody, maybe bringing a transfer next year, right? I mean, these transfers are popping up everywhere. What talented transfer, maybe isn't in the best offensive fit for him, wouldn't want to be in this offense right now at Miami. So like the way things are now, it's just not that necessary to kill it in recruiting with Plan B and Plan C guys. Go for the Plan A guys, don't get them, go transfer portal, get them in the next class. Like that's the strategy to me, and I hope that's what they do. If you look at this list today that we put out, and they don't hit these guys, I hope we're not putting up a whole new list 2 months from now with 10 new names that have come out of the woodwork.
All right, so I joked, the coaches are on vacation, and they were just on vacation, but there is recruiting taking place on the offensive side of the ball, and they're not going to get everybody they want. We talked about, a couple examples, like Isaiah Bond is one. He's more than likely, really high quality wide receiver, likely going to stick with Florida. On the offensive line, they're recruiting 7 guys, probably hoping to sign maybe 3 of them, maybe 4 on the outside. So they're not going to get everybody that they want without question, but I'm with Matt all the way. This is not a year to be going to Plan B and Plan C. Your numbers are up. You got a young roster with, I think it's 53 kids designated as freshmen on the roster. This is not a year to be loading up on average players or projects and things like that. You've probably already got them on the roster. This is a year to go after elite recruits. I love what the coaches are doing. I hope that they get their fair number of them. And tomorrow when we talk about the defensive board, you're going to see what we've been talking about in terms of the job that T-Rob has been doing on the recruiting trail in spearheading up the defensive effort in recruiting. All right, so we talked about the small numbers. We also have a story this morning about one guy that is a massive priority, and that's wide receiver Isaiah Horton from Tennessee. He tells us that he decided a week ago. You'll read about his whole process in the story on CaneSport.com this morning. But I can tell you he's been throwing smoke screens around. And, we feel pretty good about this one, and you'll see why when you read the story. But Florida is making a big push. Tennessee is trying to get him on campus. And Horton is throwing smoke screens out there, not really tipping his hand on what he's going to do. Matt, we have felt for a long time that this kid is going to be a Miami Hurricane. Have you seen anything to change your mind on that?
I mean, okay, so the kid's going to commit somewhere, and he's producing this video, but he's going to visit Tennessee, he's saying, for, some sort of something or other, the day before his announcement. He wants to go ahead and take the rest of his official visits in the fall. Like, I just don't understand why he's in such a rush to announce a commitment. It doesn't seem like he's necessarily ready to commit, so I don't necessarily get it. Would it surprise me if the commitment video he made is from Miami? No. Would it surprise me if he winds up not doing a video announcing for somewhere else entirely? No. Like, it's just weird. This kid's recruitment is weird. I've seen these weird recruitments before, and they can go any which way. And I know everyone wants to say he's a lock, it's done, blah, blah, blah. But, kids tell different programs different things, and kids change their minds. at the last second. And if he winds up going to Tennessee the day before he announces, that's not going to be a great sign for Miami. Florida, I think, is also pushing really hard. So, like, this one's not, to me, one of those where I feel real good about Miami the way I did a few weeks ago with him. It's more like, do I think it's more likely than not he's a Hurricane? Yes, but maybe 55% to 60% chance, like not 80 to 85 like I usually feel on these guys. So, I'm not ready to say for sure he'll be a Hurricane like a lot of other people are. There's going to be some drama here potentially, and he may be creating it on purpose just because he feels like everyone already thinks he's going to Miami, so maybe he wants to have some drama. Some kids are like that, but those kids that are like that, sometimes there actually really is drama because there's a reason they want to do that in the first place.
He's a good player. He's worth stressing over. If you're somebody who loves to stress over recruiting and these top prospects, this kid's worth it. He's a big receiver. I think he measures in about 6'5", runs well. So Isaiah Horton is without question worth having in this recruiting class. We think he will announce on the 28th of this month, but that could end up being fluid. We'll see. But follow that one as we move forward here, because that'll be a big one for the Hurricanes on the offensive side of the ball. And then also on the website this morning, our State of the Youth series continues with a look at the tight end depth chart. And so yesterday we brought you a story on Jaleel Skinner, the freshman recruit that Miami is very hard after. Today we bring you a story on the tight end depth chart and give you an analysis of what's at the tight end position for Miami. So that's going to do it for today. We thank you, as always, for joining us. He's Matt Shodell. I'm Gary Ferman. Until next time, I'll say have a great day and goodbye, everybody.